Hi everyone, welcome back to Unpaid Productions. Today, top 10 list of action films. There's a lot there, so let's dive right into it. Number 10, Speed. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Bit of an unexpected combo, but it worked really well. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. Can Sandra keep the speed up or not? Well, you only know if you watch the film. Number 9, Independence Day. Prince of Bel-Air against aliens. Now there's no rap battle in there or anything like that, but it's a great film. It's got some really good action scenes, and although it's from the 90s, it holds up really well, and I mean by now it's a classic, so yeah, worth a watch. Number 8, Die Hard. I mean, when you think action, Die Hard is probably one of the first franchises you'll think of. And yes, you might say it's a Christmas film, but it is a fantastic franchise. And I mean, Bruce Willis is one of the legends of the action genre. Now, does it have a lot of different locations? No. Does it have any deeper meaning? No. It's just straightforward action. John McClane just does not mess about. It's a great film, it's a great franchise, and it's one for Christmas if you need. Number 7, Bourne. The Bourne franchise, again, is so well known. When you think about action, that's probably one of the next franchises you would think of. And yes, some might disagree with it being on this list, because there have been a few films that maybe weren't quite up to par, but I still think the whole franchise is really good. I enjoyed the newer ones as well, which were fantastic, and then the original ones. I mean, it's a great story. It's a guy who loses everything and then figures out that there's so much going on. Like too much in the background, and he tries to find a way through all those difficult challenges. I think it's a great franchise in general. It's definitely one of those franchises where you just grab some popcorn, sit down, enjoy the action, and the actually pretty good story of Jason Bourne. A lot of twists, a lot of turns, exactly how we like it. Go and check it out. Number 6, Indiana Jones. Now, this franchise is definitely part of my childhood. I grew up watching and following Dr. Jones through all his adventures and his mishaps and difficulties, and I think it was always a bit of a dream of becoming like Indiana Jones and going out there on adventures and finding interest in artifacts and stuff like that. Probably without being hunted by the Nazis, I would leave that to the side. But there's some great films in there, and since I just recently met John Rhys-Davies, who is an absolute legend, and he told me a few stories of him being in the plane and flying from one location to the other, and there's been a bunch of issues with the plane. It's just a crazy story that he could have almost died and stuff like that. It was fantastic, but he's probably the sweetest actor I have met so far. He's an absolute legend, and I mean, if you don't know, he plays Salah in the films. He's a fantastic human being, absolutely, and I can just imagine the fun they all had together as a cast while they were shooting those films. And considering the newest one came out not too long ago and was still a really good watch, I'm just so chuffed. I'm really happy that it's still going on. Yes, of course, we're kind of getting to the end now. Harrison Ford isn't the youngest anymore, but with help from a bit of CGI, they made the story work really well, even with him looking younger in some of those scenes. It's a brilliant franchise that's perfect for you, just watching on your own or watching together with family, or just letting your kids watch if you want. It's fantastic, it's really fun, there's some great actors in there, and as I said, for me, it's one of the best parts of my childhood. Number 5, The Matrix. Keanu don't quit, and in this one, he most definitely doesn't. The Matrix is again a brilliant franchise that has really changed the whole genre of action in cinema quite a bit, especially with the very heavy use of slow motion, but it looks so good. I still remember all the slow-mo scenes of the actors and the characters avoiding bullets in slow motion, and the fights and the flying and spinning around and everything. Yes, some might say it was a bit overused, but I think it just looks great. And for that time especially, these films really stepped beyond the horizon and tried some new stuff. And I'd say it worked out really well. I mean, to this day, there's a huge amount of fans still, and they're still producing films, and I think they're actually still doing pretty well. So obviously, with Keanu Reeves, you can't really go wrong. So they're a great watch. Go on and check it out if you haven't. And let me know at the end if there's a spoon or not. Number 4, The Batman. when they cast Robert Pattinson as Batman, I'll be honest, I was quite worried because I didn't really see him as Batman. Yeah, he was a brilliant vampire in Twilight and stuff like that, and he was quite good in Harry Potter for as long as he lived. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, but I was really surprised once I watched it. Now, what I really love about the new Batman is that it's a bit darker than the last ones. Even with the cinematography, it looks darker and it's more moody and whatever. And I think that works so well with the story that you have about Batman, which is a really dark story. DC in general have really good stories with most of their superheroes. So I'm kind of sad and disappointed that they haven't quite been able to bring them to life on screen as well as you might say Marvel has done. Sorry, I'm a bit of a Marvel fan. So for me, Marvel has so far done a bit of a better job in bringing the comic books and stuff to life on screen. Although obviously recently there have been a few films that haven't quite been as good, you might say, and I'd probably agree. But back to the Batman. Dark, gritty. Robert Pattinson has won me over as Batman. I like it. He brings a lot of his characteristics from playing a vampire in Twilight into Batman, and I think it works really well because they kept it so dark and moody. I think it actually turned out to be a really good film. The rest of the cast obviously has done a great job as well. But I'm a sucker for cinematography, I think you know by now. And the cinematography in this film is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I always love when a film manages to stay really dark, but not too dark that it kind of pushes you away, but dark in a way that it just reels you in and really makes you wonder what's going to happen next and how these characters are going to develop and grow. I think the Batman is probably one of the best superhero stories out there because in a way it is relatable. Of course, I don't know how many of you are as rich as Bruce Wayne, but in a way it kind of tracks and it's not as far-fetched as like going out to space and inhaling some weird dust and then turning into the Thing or something like that. So I think it's kind of relatable. And with this film, DC has really brought something very good to the table. The cast is done brilliantly. Paul Dano has shown us exactly how good of an actor is. And if you just leave the story aside, again, the visuals of the film are brilliant. It's a great watch. And because it's fairly new, maybe some of you haven't watched it yet, so just go on and watch it. Buy the DVD, buy the Blu-ray. It's worth it. It's a great film. Number 3, John Wick. Picking just one film out of this franchise is really difficult because I think that all of them deserve the praise they are getting. And again, Keanu Reeves, who doesn't love him by now? Calm, cool, collected. He takes out everyone he needs to take out in a very classy way. I think by now John Wick is kind of turned into this character that Walker Texas Ranger was back in the day, where it's like nobody can beat him. Do you know, like back in the day, everybody would be making Chuck Norris jokes because it's like nobody can beat Chuck Norris. Like Chuck Norris jumps into the water and he doesn't get wet, but the water gets Chuck Norris and whatever, stuff like that. And I think John Wick in a way is kind of turning into this character as well, in this kind of meme already. And I think these films are really great. They always have a really good storyline and the action scenes and sequences are top notch. I guess you probably have watched them, but they're always a really good comfort watch. Number 2, Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise, as mentioned before, is one of the most legendary actors out there, mainly because of his commitment to every single role he plays. Like if it's something kind of stupid and just funny in Tropical Thunder to something incredibly intense in Mission Impossible, like running down the Burj Khalifa and driving a motorcycle off the cliff with a parachute and stuff like that. It doesn't get much better in action than Tom Cruise at the moment. And Mission Impossible, again, is one of those franchises that has kind of been part of me growing up, and there's so many out there now and they still keep doing new ones. And I think, although all the actors are aging, obviously, the quality is really high still. And Tom Cruise, although he's again not the youngest now, he is so committed. He does some of the craziest stuff in there just to keep it all as realistic as possible and use as little CGI as possible. They probably don't even use any CGI by now. I mean, this guy is mental, but in a good way. And by now we might all be thinking, okay, these missions seem to be rather more possible than impossible, but thank God they are, because he's getting new ones after new one after new one. So we get new film after new film after new film, and I'm actually really happy about that. So Mission Impossible, number 2 on here. Number 1, The Dark Knight. Batman is here again, and he looks good, guys. I think, although the new Batman, as mentioned before, is a fantastic film, The Dark Knight hasn't been topped in my eyes yet. Christian Bale, in my eyes, I think was still the best Batman out there, and there's quite a few people saying Michael Keaton was great, and I agree. But Christian Bale is one of those actors again who just does not stop. Like, he commits himself to a role in ways that are probably not even healthy. I mean, there's some films where he would lose like 50 kilograms for one film, and then for the next one he would gain another 80. So I don't think it's necessarily healthy, but thank God he is so good at what he does. He is such a versatile actor, and I really enjoyed seeing him as Batman. Alright, I had to cut there because the battery of my small rig light just went, but it's fine, we're almost done anyway, so let's go back to The Dark Knight. We've spoken about the actors, we've spoken about Christian Bale. The story is great. I mean, we all know the Batman story by now, and I think they've done it in a brilliant way. But what really has put this film on my number 1 spot, and I think it will forever, is Heath Ledger. He is one of my favorite actors of all time. I loved him as a kid when I watched A Knight's Tale, and I still love that film, by the way. I really want to watch it again. But the way that he has played the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, great. And there's a few other Joker actors that have been good. I mean, Jared Leto hasn't been too bad. But for me, no one will ever come close to Heath Ledger. The way he has played the Joker has put the Joker on number 1 of my favorite villains of all time. The commitment to the scene and the method acting that he used to get into the character is just brilliant. And I really, really love watching it every single time. Just every single time I'm like, this really is the Joker. This is not just an actor portraying Joker. This really is the Joker. Like, if I would read the comics now, I would imagine the Joker just the way Heath Ledger played him. So Heath Ledger definitely is one of the main reasons for me why this film is on number 1 on this list. I hope you're fine with that. If you're not, I'm sorry, but that's the way it's gonna be. The Dark Knight, if you haven't watched it, please go and do so. I think the whole trilogy is brilliant. But yes, if you don't want to watch the whole film, just watch a few scenes of Heath Ledger playing the Joker. It will give you goosebumps because it is so good, and I love every single bit of it. Alright, so this is the end of top 10. We are done here, we're done now. Let me know what you think, put it in the comments, like, subscribe, share, and I will get to working on a few different lists. There will be more videos coming out soon, I'm sure. Until then, wishing you all a great day, evening, night, whatever time it is where you're at. See you soon.